Welcome back for our final segment. It is time for Sean and I to go over the USHL CCM Players of the Week, the standings, and the playoff picture. But before we get to that, I'd like to take time out and thank our sponsors, Howie's Hockey Tape. Hey, hockey players. When you're in need of tape for your stick, do what the Phantoms, Detroit Red Wings, and the Pittsburgh Penguins do. Grab a roll of Howie's Hockey Tape. For more information, go to howieshockeytape.com. All right, here are your USHL CCM Players of the Week. The USHL Forward of the Week is Casey Middlestat of the Green Bay Gamblers. In 3 games played, he had 2 goals and 4 assists and a +2 rating. Middlestat returned to the Gamblers lineup for the first time since November 12th and made an immediate impact in the team's 3 games over the weekend. In Friday's 4-1 victory over Cedar Rapids, the Eden Prairie, Minnesota native scored 2 goals and dished out an assist. He added 2 more helpers on Saturday to complete the weekend sweep of the Rough Riders before tallying his 4th assist and 6th point of the weekend in a 5-1 win over Madison on Sunday. He has earned at least 1 point in 9 of his last 10 USHL games and has tallied 19 points in that stretch dating back to October 22nd. Middlestat is tied for 4th among all USHL rookies in scoring with 27 points in 19 games. He is also in the top 5 among rookies in assists, power play goals, power play assists, and leads all rookies in power play points with 18. Earlier this season, he was named the MVP of the CCM USA Hockey All-American Prospects game following a 2-goal performance. He was also named the USHL Forward of the Week on November 7th and was ranked 5th among North American skaters in January's NHL Central Scouting Midterm Rankings. Most recently, Middlestat was named Minnesota's Mr. Hockey following a successful season with Eden Prairie High School. Middlestat is committed to the University of Minnesota and was selected in the 5th round, 73rd overall, by the Gamblers in the 2014 USHL Phase 1 draft.
And your USHL Defenseman of the Week is his teammate, Connor Mackey. In 3 games played, he had 5 assists and was a +2 rating. Mackey had 2 assists both Friday and Saturday night in a pair of wins over the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders and added his 5th helper on the weekend in Green Bay's 5-1 victory over the Madison Capitals on Sunday. The Barrington, Illinois native leads both the Gamblers and the USHL defenseman in scoring with 47 points in 55 games. He now has 3 points in 3 straight games with 5 assists in that span. His 41 assists are tops among defensemen and second among all USHL players, and has dished out multiple assists 11 times this season. The Minnesota State University Mankato commit has been named Defenseman of the Week for the 4th time this season, as he previously won the award on October 31st, November 7th, and March 6th. Mackey was selected in the 13th round, 197th overall by Green Bay in the 2015 USHL Phase 2 draft.
And if you're sensing a theme with this week's USHL CCM Players of the Week, that's because they're all Green Bay Gamblers, because the USHL Goaltender of the Week is Maxim Zukov. In 2 games this weekend, he went 2-0-0 with a 1.50 goals against average and a .946 save percentage. Zukov made 23 saves on 24 shots Friday night before making 30 saves on 32 shots on Saturday as Green Bay swept their weekend series with the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders. The Russian netminder has now won his last 4 starts between the pipes and now sits with an overall record of 17-8-1-1. He leads all USHL rookie goaltenders in goals against average and is second in both wins and save percentage. He has been busy in goal for the Gamblers this year as he has made 20 or more saves in 19 of his 29 appearances. Zukov was also named to the USHL NHL Top Prospects game earlier this season, where he was credited with 11 saves. He was also ranked 5th among North American goaltenders in January's NHL Central Scouting Midterm Rankings. Zukov previously won Goaltender of the Week honors on January 30th and was selected in the 3rd round, 30th overall by Green Bay in the 2016 USHL Phase 2 draft. And those were USHL CCM Players of the Week. CCM is the official equipment provider of the United States Hockey League. And now let's take a look at the USHL standings. We're going to start in the Western Conference, where things are just as tight as they are in the East. And here's Sean to tell you about the Wild Wild West.
Thanks, Matt. The Sioux City Musketeers are the first team to clinch a playoff spot with a record of 35-10-5-2 for 77 points. Next in line are the Waterloo Blackhawks with a record of 35-14-2-2. They have 74 points. The Des Moines Buccaneers come in at third place with a record of 32-17, 1-3 for 68 points. And in that final playoff spot in the West are the Fargo Force with a record of 31-16, 4-1 for 67 points. In fifth place, just outside the playoff bracket, are the Lincoln Stars. They have a record of 28-24-1, and that is good for 61 points. In sixth place, the Omaha Lancers with a record of 21-27-5-1. They have 48 points and have been eliminated from playoff contention. In seventh place, the Tri-City Storm with a record of 18-27-6-2 for 44 points, also eliminated from playoff contention. And in eighth place, the Sioux Falls Stampede with a record of 17-27-3-6 for 43 points, and they have been eliminated from playoff contention. And now for the East, here's Matt.
Thank you very much, Sean. All right. In first place are the Phantoms' opponent on Sunday, the Chicago Steel. They have a record of 34-13, 2-3, which gives them 73 points and 52 games played. In second place are the Muskegon Lumberjacks. They have a record of 33-17, 3-1, which gives them 70 points and 54 games played. In third place are the Dubuque Fighting Saints. In 53 games, they have a record of 31-15, 5-2, which gives them 69 points. And in fourth place, the final playoff spot, are your Youngstown Phantoms. In 53 games played, they have a record of 30-18, 4-1, which gives them 65 points. In fifth place are the Green Bay Gamblers. In 55 games played, they have a record of 30-21, 2-2, which gives them 64 points. Not quite eliminated yet from playoff contention, but hanging on for dear life are the Bloomington Thunder. In 53 games played, they have a record of 22, 24, 4-3, which gives them 51 points. And when I say Bloomington is hanging on by a thread, I mean one more point by the Youngstown Phantoms will eliminate Bloomington from playoff contention. The Thunder need to win out, and they need the Phantoms to lose out in order for the Thunder to even think about making the playoffs. And even then, the Phantoms and Thunder would end up being tied. And we'll just say that Bloomington's playoff hopes are on life support right now. Having been eliminated from playoff contention are the seventh place Madison Capitals. In 53 games this year, they have a record of 22, 28, 1-2 for 47 points. Team USA has also been eliminated from the playoffs. They are in eighth place. In 53 games played, they have a record of 21, 29, 1-2, which gives them 45 points. And finally, in ninth place, also eliminated from playoff contention, are the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders. In 53 games, they have a record of 11, 38, 3-1 for 26 points. And those are your up-to-date USHL standings. And now to give you a look at the magic numbers out west. Sean, one more time.
Thanks, Matt. Once again, Sioux Falls has locked up a playoff spot. Not necessarily that first seed, however, they are in the playoffs. Right behind them, the Waterloo Blackhawks, their magic number is 2, so only 2 more points to get into the playoffs for them. The Des Moines Buccaneers in third, their magic number is 8, so 8 more points, and the Bucs are in the Western Conference playoffs. And in fourth place, right behind them, only 9. The magic number for the Fargo Force to get into the playoffs. And Lincoln Stars hanging on for dear life, trying to get in as best as they can. Their magic number is 7 to get in. However, they need some magic to happen with the top 4 teams. However, well, top 3 teams, I guess I should say, since Sioux City has already clinched up a spot. And Omaha, Tri-City, and Sioux Falls eliminated from playoff contention. So really, it's between Lincoln and Fargo for that final Western Conference spot.
And now for the Eastern Conference. Chicago, with any combination of a loss by Green Bay or 2 points for themselves, Chicago will clinch the first playoff spot in the Eastern Conference this season. Their magic number is at 2. Muskegon has a magic number of 5 to clinch. For Dubuque, it is 6. Muskegon actually just jumped over the Dubuque Fighting Saints this past weekend, but Dubuque does have a game in hand on the Lumberjacks. And now we come down to the fourth place spot where the Phantoms, their magic number is 10. They are in that fourth place spot currently, but the Green Bay Gamblers are nipping at their heels. Their magic number is 11, just 1 point behind the Youngstown Phantoms, but the Phantoms have played 2 fewer games. Although right now, regulation plus overtime wins, Green Bay has 4 more than the Phantoms, 29-25, and that's the first tiebreaker. So even though the Phantoms took the season series from Green Bay has the first tiebreaker right now. Should they end up tied in overall points, so that's not a good look right there, Sean.
Not at all. However, with the Phantoms having 2 games in hand, it bodes well in their favor as they get things done this weekend in Cedar Rapids and Chicago. Right there, that could make or break the season. So these games coming up, all very, very, very important.
And then, of course, as we mentioned, the Bloomington Thunder, not mathematically eliminated yet. They have a magic number of 24. Their maximum possible points is 65. And with the Phantoms currently sitting at 65 points, as we said, Bloomington needs to win all of their games. Green Bay and Youngstown both need to lose all of their games in order for Bloomington to even sniff that 4th playoff spot. So, again, anything that happens between one win for the Phantoms, one loss for Bloomington, and the Thunder will be eliminated from playoff contention. Again, Madison, Team USA, and Cedar Rapids have all been eliminated from the 2017 Clark Cup playoff. And let's go ahead and take a look at the race for the Anderson Cup. That's still tightly contested. It does still look like probably somewhere in the upper 80s, mid to lower 90s is going to be the number to clinch it. Right now, the maximum points any team in the USHL can get is 93. That belongs to Sioux City. So their magic number to clinch it is 12. Waterloo's right behind them in second place in the race for that Anderson Cup and home ice advantage throughout the playoffs. Their magic number is 15, followed by Chicago at 16, Muskegon at 19, Dubuque at 20, Des Moines at 21, Fargo at 22, and the Phantoms at 24. So everybody's still with a mathematical chance to get that Anderson Cup, but right now it looks like Sioux City, Waterloo, and Chicago, maybe even Muskegon, Dubuque. Really, I would say that probably Muskegon is where you want to draw the line, the top 4, Sean, with 12, 15, 16, and 19 being the magic number for the top 4 seeds. Dubuque's been scuffling of late. They are 5-4-1 in their last 10.
Well, anything's possible at this point. I mean, just looking at the games coming up, first place in the East isn't even locked up yet. So a lot of things can happen, and again, probably will happen. I feel like that's something we've been saying a lot. With Chicago holding that number 1 spot so far, they have to travel to Dubuque and Des Moines and then come back home to take on Youngstown on Sunday. So a lot of travel this weekend for the Steel, and that could bode well. I mean, the Phantoms going into Cedar Rapids on Friday and Saturday this week and then traveling to Chicago on Sunday. So not as much travel in those 3 days. However, you could have some tired legs for Chicago coming out on Sunday, which could bode very well for the Phantoms trying to clinch up that last playoff spot. But also, again, that first seed not locked up in the East.
And also Chicago with the toughest remaining schedule out of all the Eastern Conference playoff teams. They have 5 games remaining out of their final 8 against teams that are currently in playoff position. Phantoms, just 1 game remaining against teams in playoff position. But Green Bay, they don't have a single game remaining against teams in playoff position. So the Phantoms have the Gamblers hot on their heels. And it's going to be a very interesting last, I can't believe I'm saying this, Sean, 4 weeks of the season.
Yeah, the season has definitely flown by. I mean, Green Bay taking on the Omaha Lancers, the Phantoms' opponent this past weekend, and you and I both saw the Lancers. I mean, they be eliminated from playoff contention in the West, but they're no slouches. They're still going to bring it. They're still coming to play. Chicago, they're playing mostly playoff teams. However, they have to go play at Tri-City, the defending champions, and they're a very, very good team, even though they are eliminated. And then they end the season against the Madison Capitals, who gave the Phantoms fits earlier in the season. So even though these teams are eliminated, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad teams. It just means that they just didn't get things done when they needed to, and they still pose a threat to these teams that are hunting for those final playoff spots.
And, of course, that game on the second to last day of the season where Chicago takes on Muskegon, that could maybe end up deciding first place in the Eastern Conference, depending on how things shake out.
Very true. I that's a game that everyone should have circled on their calendars. If you follow the USHL, that's a game that could be that first place game. for the East, and could potentially have, depending on how things go, it could have Anderson Cup implications as well.
Well, that will wrap up our look at the USHL playoff picture. And that will actually end this week's episode of Inside the Glass. Be sure to tune in on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday when the Phantoms will be taking on the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders Friday and Saturday and the Chicago Steel on Sunday. I know that Chicago does have an audio-only free broadcast that we will be able to link for you during the game. I will look into whether or not Cedar Rapids does the same. If not, make sure that you tune in on Hockey TV to catch these very, very pivotal games for your Youngstown Phantoms. So for Sean Stewart, I am Matt Lipsack, the voice of your Youngstown Phantoms. Thank you so much for tuning in to Inside the Glass this week. Sound out. Fade to black.